Welcome to this edition of Access Together. These shows are made possible through the combined efforts of Shelby County Schools and GHS-TV. The shows are hosted by the members of the community and utilize the staff and facilities of Germantown High School. If you would like to watch our live stream or get more information about these shows, log on to our website, ghstv.org. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the following presentation.
Welcome to Inspiring Leaders. I'm Donna Chandler Newman, your host for our show, and thank you for watching our program. Through this show, we meet community leaders and we examine how they're using their unique talents and skill sets to make a difference. And through our discussions, we hope to inspire others to discover and to share their own leadership abilities for the overall betterment of our community. Now, today on our show, we're talking about water. We swim in it, we bathe in it, we cook with it, we drink it. In fact, water is one of our most basic needs, and yet many of us take the abundant availability of water for granted. And then there's the Wolf River Concervancy, a nonprofit organization that understands the value of water and works to protect and enhance our Wolf River and its watershed. They work tirelessly to ensure that we understand why and then how to ensure that our water continues to be a sustainable natural resource. Now, in this first segment of our show, we'll meet Keith Cole, Executive Director of the Wolf River Concervancy. And in the second segment, Keith and I will be joined by Jeanne Arthur, immediate past president of the Board of Directors for the Wolf River Concervancy. Joining us now is Keith Cole, Executive Director of Wolf River Concervancy. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm so glad that you're here with us. Thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Now, okay, I know you come from an extensive corporate background, and that the Wolf River Conservancy is actually your second act, if you will, your encore performance.
Right.
How did you get involved, and why do you think it's important?
Well, Donna, I do call this my encore career. It's a great encore to have. I was in the blockbuster video business for about 20 years. I was the president of a small franchise group that had stores throughout the Mid-South. And when this opportunity came about, I was just so excited about the people that were associated with it, the mission of the organization, the goodwill in the community. It was just a wonderful opportunity to be part of.
Okay, so, all right, the Wolf River Conservancy is not brand new. In fact, you've been with them how many years?
5 years.
5 years for you.
Right.
But it's been around since...
Founded in 1985. In the early 80s, there was a lot of grassroots organization about the need to create a conservancy such as the Wolf River Conservancy to help benefit the health of the urban wolf as well as the entire watershed. And so we were founded in 1985 as a grassroots organization. Since that time, through the good work of our board of directors, the organization has continued to grow both organizationally, both through our fundraising to become a much more professional accredited land trust today. And we're excited about that because as a land trust, only 1 out of 5, 20% of the 1,700 land trusts in the United States are currently accredited. So we're quite proud of that.
I bet you are. That's quite a distinction, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, okay, so when you talk about your mission, that land trust, the land conservation, is the core of the mission, isn't it?
Yes. Our core mission, when we say conserve and enhance, or protect and enhance the Wolf River and its watershed, many people will say, Keith, how do you protect the water? The way we protect the water in our watershed is through protecting the land that's adjacent to the water. So to date, we've helped protect 16,000 acres in the Wolf River watershed. And our primary mission is doing that, is protecting our water through protecting our surface area and the recharge areas, which protects the aquifer below it, the Memphis Sand aquifer that many of your listeners are very familiar with, and also to protect wildlife as well.
Okay, a bunch of terms there.
Yeah.
You mentioned urban wolf a minute ago.
Yes.
What is that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. In our organization, we're fond of saying anything from downtown north end of Mud Island all the way to the Shelby County line. We call that the urban wolf.
Okay.
And for your listeners and viewers, the Wolf River actually begins in Benton County, Mississippi, and flows north and westerly out of Benton County through Fayette County. So anything outside of Shelby County east, we call the urban wolf.
Okay.
Excuse me, we call the upper wolf.
The upper wolf. So you're responsible for the urban wolf?
Well, we're actually responsible for the entire watershed. I'm glad you brought that up. The Wolf River watershed, 522,000 acres, again, all the way from downtown north end of Mud Island, east through Fayette County, in Benton County, Mississippi, parts of Marshall County and Hardeman County as well. So 522,000 acres is a pretty good size of land.
Yes, it is. I'm trying to understand the connection between the two. Why do you need to protect the land around the water? Is it because of pollution?
Well, yes, and I'm glad you brought that up. Memphis and Shelby County, we are one of the largest communities in the United States that solely 100% gets its water from an underground aquifer system. And the one we get our water from is called the Memphis Sand Aquifer. And where we live here in the Mid-South, there are a series of aquifers that are interconnected through a 5-state area. And so when it rains, just imagine when it rains in those wetlands and floodplains, the water is standing on top of that soil. As it filters through, it's recharging our water system below us. And then Memphis Light Gas and Water drills down into the Memphis Sand Aquifer and pulls that water up. So we have naturally filtered water. Now, MLGW does do certain minimal practices to improve it, but we have a very high quality water here. And as a result of that, there's estimated over 80 businesses are associated in Memphis and the Mid-South just because our water is so good.
So, okay, so I know that we completely enjoy our water, and we all notice how different it tastes when we travel the country and the world, but 80 different businesses, that's a huge economic impact.
It is. It's estimated that they contribute over $1 billion a year to our economy here in Memphis and Shelby County. And again, there's some technical reasons why there's less processes they have to do if they're using them for manufacturing and whatever. And of course, you and I get to benefit from the water because it helps in our health, of course, but also as consumers for MLGW, Memphis, depending on which survey you look at, our water is either the least expensive in the United States or the second least expensive in the United States. So we get water very cheaply in Memphis and Shelby County.
Cheap and delicious? Doesn't
Cheap
get any
and
better.
Delicious. And the best way to get a testimony on that, frequently I meet people that have moved here from other communities, whether it's Texas or Florida, and the first thing they will say is, we have some great water and my water bill's so inexpensive. They find it hard to believe.
Well, we're grateful, aren't we?
We are.
Okay, so our area, we have plentiful water, and we always have. And in our country, we have. But the rest of the world doesn't. What we take for granted, they have to work for.
Absolutely. It's estimated today that over 785 million people don't have access to clean drinking water. And a certain portion of those people may have access, but they can't always afford it. So something you and I take for granted, when we go to the kitchen sink and turn on that faucet and that water comes out, a lot of people don't. So it's something we should not take for granted. And even though our water comes from underground, we shouldn't assume that it's not susceptible to pollution, because it can be. So that's where we're protecting those lands, those critical lands, and we evaluate land parcels based on their conservation value, and we have identified certain lands in the Wolf River watershed that are important to us that we want to protect for perpetuity.
And some of this you actually own the land and some you don't.
Right.
Explain that.
It's a combination. When we say protect the land, there's several ways you can do that. Ideally, when we say protect the land, we're talking about protecting it from development that would harm the conservation value of that land. It may be that we own the land outright, and that happens frequently. It may be that we hold a conservation easement from an owner that would like to protect it but still own it. And we as a land trust would then ensure that we're protecting that land to the owner's wishes. And then sometimes someone donates land to us. Not very often, but sometimes that happens too.
And you'll take it, right?
Generally, yes.
My goodness. Well, so that's an awful lot to coordinate. So some of the land is transient with you. You transfer back to the state, you said?
Yes, Donna, we are very fortunate to live in the state of Tennessee. The state of Tennessee values conservation of lands. And as a result of that, we work very closely with the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, as well as the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. And we partner together, and we talk about the lands that are important to us, and frequently they're also important to those state agencies as well. And so we may partner together on lands to ensure that we keep those lands in public use for the benefit of the public.
Now, one of the things that's important to your organization, and actually to all of us, is to be aware of your organization and what you do. So one of your pieces of the mission and one of your goals is education. How do you go about educating all of us?
Well, it's an ongoing challenge. We have a full-time education director, Kathy Justice, who does a wonderful job for us. She's very impassioned about what she does. Our organization, since the very beginning, environmental education has been a very important part of what we do. Many would say it's more important now. It's been estimated since 1990 that young people and children get outside less and less and less than they used to.
True.
Why that's important, if you don't get outside and enjoy the great outdoors, you can lose the appreciation for why you need to protect it.
I see. You know, it's kind of funny. I turn on a spigot and I expect clean water, and
Sure.
I don't realize all this goes into it.
Right.
So that's amazing. When you talked about watershed a minute ago, that's huge. I know that we're putting up a map on it,
Right.
and that is absolutely huge. That's a lot to protect. How many acres did you say that was?
522,000 acres.
522,000 acres. That's an awful lot, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
One of the other things that's important, and one of the most high-profile projects that we've had in the last number of years, is the Greenway Trail
Right,
project, right?
right.
So when we talk about the Greenway Trail, tell me a little bit about it and why it's important.
Well, it's important for a number of reasons. It too goes back to the founding of the Wolf River Concervancy in 1985. The founders had a vision of building a greenway and linear park through the city of Memphis, following the meanders of the Wolf River. The reason for that was to increase the awareness of the Wolf River, but also to increase the access of the Wolf River as well. So today we're happy to be in a partnership with the City of Memphis Parks Division and the Wolf River Conservancy and Shelby County on building out this, what will be a 26-mile trail within inside the City of Memphis. Today we have 3.7 miles open out that follows along Humphreys Boulevard. We have 3 segments under construction today, and our goal is to complete the entire project inside the City of Memphis by 2019 or 2020. This will allow us to continue to build the awareness of the Wolf River Conservancy to the community. It'll also allow us to build on our educational outreach as well as our recreational outreach.
Well, you're right about that. All 3 of those go together, don't they?
Yes, they do.
As I think about that, that's really ambitious. I mean, 26 miles, how much of it's built already?
Well, today we have 3.7 miles open. We have about 4 miles under construction, so that would leave about, 16, 17 miles left to do. It is very ambitious.
Yes.
But we have great support from the community. We've had great support from funders to help fund this project. It's a $50 million project.
Ouch.
We have $46.5 million collected to date toward it. So it is a big project, but it's got such great support, Donna, because it does touch so many parts of the city of Memphis. It's estimated that within a 20-mile walking distance of the completed project, 238,000 people will have access within a 20-minute walk. This will be a game changer for the city of Memphis.
I think it will, and it connects us more than
It
anything
connects
else,
us.
doesn't it?
You know, I tell people this is much more than just building a 12-foot wide paved hiking and biking path. The real opportunities with this project will be, once it's completed, how the community uses it. So we want the community to use it in the ways that are important to the different areas of the city. Community gardens are one example. Increasing the access to the Wolf River is another example. For some folks, it's just a matter of getting out there and having a chance to walk and be in nature.
That's really true, isn't it?
Yes.
And I've watched one nonprofit organization, and probably many more, who actually have had a run along it
Sure.
before. So that's
Absolutely.
good too, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah. Well, listen, will you stay with me a minute?
I
Let's
will.
have your immediate past president on in a minute
That'd be
with us.
great.
Stay right here,
Thank
and
you.
we'll go to our second segment and talk more about that.
Thank you.
We're going to pause now for a short break. When we return, Keith and I will be joined by Jean Arthur, immediate past president of the Board of Directors for the Wolf River Conservancy.
Welcome to Germantown High School, an international baccalaureate creative and performing arts optional school, a destination school for students who are going places.
Our students are of the highest caliber when it comes to their academics and knowledge.
The IB program is a very rigorous program.
You were challenged in a way that you thought you couldn't be challenged. You succeeded, something that other kids may not have thought they could do.
They're accepted to colleges that are just, dream colleges for so many people.
Germantown High School offers a CAPA program, the Creative and Performing Arts program.
When I first came here, I saw the television studio and I was just amazed at what all I saw.
Kids do everything, that they're taught every detail that has to do with theater arts and creative arts.
I love a lot of things about Germantown High School, but primarily what I love is the athletics. There's something exciting around every single corner.
We probably are one of the most diverse high schools in the state of Tennessee, maybe the United States.
I would never doubt about sending your child to Germantown High School.
This high school is something not like any other high school that we have.
There's definitely fun in the work. We find fun in everything we do.
You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back. I'm Donna Chandler Newman, and you are watching Inspiring Leaders. Today, we're talking with leaders from the Wolf River Concervancy. We're pleased to continue our discussion with Executive Director Keith Cole, and we're delighted to be joined now by the immediate past president of their board of directors, Jeanne Arthur. Welcome, Jeanne, and thank you for staying, Keith.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that so much. I'm glad to see you both. Now, Jeanne, you are the immediate past president of the board of directors of Wolf River Concervancy, but this is volunteer for you. You are actually a long-time award-winning realtor with Crye-Leike in East Memphis, aren't you?
Yes.
So,
I've been in real estate, I think it's 37 years right now.
Oh my gracious, I mean, there's not a way to be in this town and not know your name, so I'll tell you that. So, Jeanne Arthur, buy homes here, sell homes here, right?
Thank you.
Well, so I know that this is a volunteer position for you. There are some 3,000 organizations in the city to devote time and talent and treasure to. Why the Wolf River Conservancy?
The Wolf River Conservancy came on my radar because of my mother, who was a member of the Memphis Garden Club. And I'd known the Wolf River Conservancy had existed, but I didn't recognize really all that it did until I became focused on a piece of land right near the intersection of Germantown Road and Kimbrough that our garden club had owned since the early 70s. It was given to our club to mitigate wetlands that were close to the Wolf River by businessmen who developed Walnut Grove Lakes, and also by the Boyle Company and other people who had wives in our club. And my mother was not well, and she kept saying, well, what's going to happen to Riverwoods? And because Germantown had said they were going to put a road through the middle of a small natural area, 21.2 acres. So I went out there not really knowing where Riverwoods was, and I saw the plight. And the road was going to divide 22 acres into less than 10-acre parcels, and it was going to be rendered useless. So I began looking at maps, and the Wolf River Conservancy came to mind. We negotiated with their help as a partner and the Boyle Company and other people to save the Riverwoods natural area by reconfiguring it with a donation from Boyle, and by Germantown purchasing some lands, and by the Walnut Grove Lake developers giving us
So a real concerted effort, basically.
Real concerted.
Real concerted effort, and so that's where you got involved. You have a long-time love for land, don't you?
I do.
You do, so.
I love land. That's a family thing. My grandmother loved it, and she taught me to love it, and my grandfather and father hunted, and my mother loved it. She was a true conservationist, as we know now.
So you've been on the board for Wolf River, and then you were the president, now the immediate past president.
Yes.
Under your direction, I know that you set a number of goals, and one of them involved this Wolf River Greenway Trail, if I'm not mistaken. You raised how much? I mean, lots and lots of money. You were talking about it a minute ago. You raised 40-something million?
Well, we are not there yet, but we, during my tenure, received 2 large grants that were over 20 million, and then we set about talking to other companies and financially well-to-do individuals. And so we got on up there, and we're still at it. And we still have some to go, but we are inching so close. We've had tons of also governmental support from Memphis and Shelby County and the state.
So this is one of the reasons education is so important, so that you understand why this money is needed. And you summed it up a minute ago by saying that it's the education, it's the conservation of the land, and the recreation.
Yes.
You described several projects to me then, things that you enjoyed about being on the Wolf River Conservancy and projects that the organization does. Right. Tell me about some of those projects.
Well, we've always been about conservation, recreation, and education. And our website, the Wolf site, that'd be a good name, would be a good place to go. But some of the things we do, we have nature walks, stream strolls, nature talks at the Botanic Garden. We had over 1,000 people last year. The segment on monarch butterflies was sold out.
I was there.
Were you?
Yeah.
Were you?
It's
Yeah,
so interesting.
Yeah, it was good.
And for instance, Friday night, and this was just a random thing from the website, they advertised a boardwalk with the hunger moon, which also had the eclipse on Friday night.
Oh my.
So my husband and I took our grandchildren and my son and his wife, and we didn't know who else would be there, but we sat around a bonfire and talked. We had hot dogs and s'mores, and then we walked the Rossville Boardwalk, which is almost half a mile. It's 3/10 of a mile. But you didn't need a flashlight because of the full moon. It was fascinating, and it was beautiful. And when you got out there, you could look down and see little woodland creatures. And so the children loved it, and it was a bonding thing because there were older people there, people with children, and it just let you know the common thread and connecting Memphians.
And that connection,
which includes the area of
yes,
Memphis.
Exactly. When you talked about that with me before, the connection, that Humphreys Boulevard, I'm up and down it every day, and I think it does connect the east part of our area with East Memphis and into the city itself. That connection, was that a big piece of why you wanted to do that?
Yes, and I'm really interested in bringing Memphis together. I always have been. And our northern route, which was not the first choice, but it became the first choice when Alta Design brought their people to walk the trail, and they saw how beautiful it was in North Memphis. So we are crossing to North Memphis, and we are going to reestablish the importance of 3 major parks. One is 252 acres, John Kennedy Park. One is Epping Way Manor, where Barry Brooks used to live. That property has come to us at 62 acres. And then Rodney Baber Park, where everybody in the 50s and 60s played baseball. So it's going to be fun, and it's going to be beautiful.
Well, that is, it's completely and totally amazing. This organization, bringing all those things together, this organization is quite unique from others.
Yes.
You know, locally, regionally. Tell me what's so unique about Wolf River Conservancy.
Well, Jeanne may want to add to this. One of the things I enjoy most about being the executive director is the diversity of activities that we have. As Jeanne mentioned, the educational activities we have that span the gamut of young people all the way to adults through our summer lecture series, which you said you attended last summer.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that. But also with our recreational outreach, with our land conservation work that is so important, with the Wolf River Greenway Trail, recreational trail. So it's really fun to be the executive director of an organization that's so diverse because you get to meet so many people in the community. And I've found that in our 30-plus year history, all sorts of people from all sorts of walk of life have different relationships with this organization. And I'm talking about from all sorts of socio-economic levels.
It's multifaceted.
Right, it is.
And
it is.
Therefore it pulls diverse and multi-people.
Right.
all into it, huh?
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
That
And
really
talk
is.
about the first Saturday paddles
Yes.
you can sign up for. We have 48 approved paddlers who know safety, know how to paddle. We have a company that sponsors kids on raft trips who've never been on a river and never been outside much.
So you would, if you wanted to do that, if you wanted to go paddle on the river with one of these guides,
Sign up.
You'd sign up from your website, which is?
wolfriver.org. If you go to wolfriver.org, our activity calendar is our most visited page, and you'll see the variety of activities that we do there. But to Jeanne's point, you can sign up for a trip at, 2 months from now, 3 months from now. You can take a look, you can get a description, because we go down different sections of the Wolf and the Ghost River 12 months out of the year.
And we have 3 family paddles coming up this year.
Oh, that'll be fun. And you also have Cycling the Greenway, which
We do.
is the first Saturday?
June 3rd of this year is our Cycle the Greenway event. It is not a race, it's more of a ride. And there's generally 3 to 4 links that you can ride. You're riding both on the Wolf River Greenway Trail as well as the Germantown Greenway Trail.
Now, you are raising a little bit of money there, but that's not where the majority of your money comes from, is it?
No.
It comes from where?
Our majority of our money comes from our members and our donors.
Now, talk about that. I got something the other day from the Neshoba Circle.
Good.
Great.
Well, that's a good example of if you wanted to give a small amount each month, you can do that. We can debit your account. We can put it on a credit card. It can be as little as $10 a month. I'm fond of saying that anybody that lives in Memphis and Shelby County that enjoys our great water is pre-qualified to be a member of the Wolf River Conservancy. And so to show your support, even if it's as small as $35 a year or $10 a month, is a great way to be counted and be part of the great work that we do. Again, that's so varied and serves so many in our community.
And if somebody wanted to donate to you,
sure,
then they would do that from
again, you can do it online. You can
mail a check.
Mail a check. That's great. And we appreciate any financial support from anyone. And there's also opportunities for corporations that may want to partner with us in some way. Jeanne mentioned International Paper that sponsors our Echo Challenge, which is so important. FedEx, AutoZone, a number of large corporations in Memphis support what we do.
And foundations.
And foundations as well. Hyde, Assisi. So we appreciate all that support.
So basically, if you wanted to get involved, you could join.
Yes.
And become a member, right? You could volunteer, and you can donate to in a bigger way if you'd like to, right? And what else? You want
come to one of our events, whether
come to an event,
whether it's the
just
frog
sign
chorus
up and
walk.
I think immerse yourself in what is open and available, and just see what you like about it. But come to what appeals to you, and bring a friend.
Okay,
bring your family.
So basically, this Wolf River Conservancy is supporting our Wolf River. And so the only way to get involved is to be involved?
That would be true. And I would remind your audience that we are the only organization that's so focused on protecting our land to protect our water. And there's been a lot in the news recently about water issues in the country, whether it's Flint, Michigan, or other areas, and we don't want to build on other people's ill fortune. However, we can't take for granted the water that we have in our community.
And I don't think I ever will again. Thank you all for protecting our water and for making Memphis so special with our water.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us today for Inspiring Leaders. We appreciate our guests on today's show, Keith Cole and Jean Arthur, both representing the Wolf River Conservancy. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about the very important work they do, and if you've been inspired as I have, and you'd like to join as a member of their organization, to donate to this important cause, or to just learn more about the Wolf River Conservancy, then you could visit their website, wolfriver.org. Thank you once more for watching our show, and if you're interested in the air dates of Inspiring Leaders or for our station's complete programming guide, you can visit GHS-TV.org, where we're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can keep up with GHS-TV by visiting our website. We hope you'll like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Thank you for joining us for today's show, and be sure and watch our show, Inspiring Leaders, again next month.